Back. Today we're going to be talking about biscuits and what you can do with biscuit doughs. So just going to get right into this video. First step, just go to your refrigerator and pull out this drawer and then grab you a can of biscuit dough right there, just like that. Then take your biscuit dough and throw it in the trash. We got step one out of the way. We can get down to business. Just a few ingredients to making biscuits is not super complicated. If you go online, it's going to call for all-purpose flour. All-purpose flour is going to require some baking soda or something and salt and something else. If you'll just get self-rising flour, it already has it in there. And most of the time, at least in the South, it also has a recipe for biscuits. So we're pretty much just going to go by this recipe. We got 2 cups of it here in the bowl. I didn't sift it because I don't have a sifter. If you don't have a sifter or don't want to sift it, you can just use a fork, go through. If you see any lumps, break them up with a fork because that's all a sifter is going to do. It calls for 2/3 of a cup of milk. We're going to trust that it's accurate. What I'm going to do, it does not call for an egg, but I like to put an egg in there for like protein and stuff, you know. So I think it also helps it rise a little bit. Anyway, crack that right in there. And then it also wants you to, I'm going to go ahead and whisk this while I'm talking. It wants you to cut butter into this, which requires you to soften butter and then cut butter into it. You can use Crisco or some kind of shortening, and it's okay, I guess, but it doesn't taste like butter, and I like the way butter tastes. So I melted butter in the microwave, and it's cooled back down a little bit, but it's still melted. If you'll pour that in your cold milk, it'll start to solidify back to, you know, solid state and stuff. So pour that in and just mix it in with your milk, and that way, as you're pouring your milk into your flour, it kind of evenly distributes the butter, and it's solidifies the butter back up. There we go. It'll come out in a second. So, also, if you keep your flour in the freezer as you're pouring it in there, that'll help it too, which is the best place to keep flour for some reason. That's what I've always been told. So, got that good and mixed up, just pour that right in. And when you're doing biscuits, a lot of people over-mix and they want to get everything perfect. And you wind up with really tough biscuits. It's just not good. So, just kind of get all the liquid. What I like to do is just tilt the bowl and just, as the liquid rolls to one side, just kind of scoop it until everything kind of comes together. It's not going to look like bread dough when you're done with it. It's going to look like biscuit dough because it's biscuits. So I'm going to get this stirred up, and then we'll dump it onto this tray and start patting it out. Okay, I've just got half the biscuit dough that I had mixed up in here on this tray, and then I'm going to do something with the other half here in a second. I did forget to say that I melted a half a stick of butter and put in all of this. So what you're going to want to do now is get a little flour on your hands. I put some shortening down in the bottom of this, and then also sprinkled a little flour in that so it doesn't stick, because biscuit dough is really sticky. You can just pat this out about, I do it about as thick as this tray is. That's probably a little over a ½ inch or so. And if this dough starts sticking to your hands, you can put a little bit on it and then just some more on your hands again. No big deal. Again, just don't overwork it. A lot of people, I feel like, even when they're cutting it out, they'll just punch out holes, or biscuits, I guess they're making holes, and then when they get a Swiss cheese looking section left, they'll roll it up and repat it. If you'll just kind of start on the edge, punch down, get one, and slide it over there, and then again kind of just collect it up in there just like that. You don't really have to, you don't have stuff left over. Matter of fact, I've got like a ½ of one worth of dough left, so that's what I'm going to do with this one anyway. Just kind of roll it and pat it into a little bitty baby biscuit. And it'll probably cook faster too because it's smaller. But I'm going to set these to the side and grab this other tray of dough and show you what I'm going to do with it. Alright, same deal. I just grease this, flour, and I'm going to get this pretty flat. is make some like turnover-y type stuff, like turnovers, and then I'm also gonna do, or attempt to do, kind of like a pizza pocket type deal on one, but just because I have cheese and pepperoni here, and then I actually got some pie filling. If you could use fresh fruit, but it would take longer to bake, so I didn't. I guess you could use fresh fruit and then cook it, and that would work. But anyway, I'm gonna get this pretty flat, way flatter than the biscuits. And hopefully I can get it back up off this tray when I need to fold it over. But I think I'm just gonna take a butter knife and kind of cut it into sections. It's probably a 1/4 inch thick or so, and I'm just gonna do I just wound up taking a spatula and kind of flipping these over, since I had the top side really good and floured and the bottom side was kind of sticking, so I wound up getting 4. But I just got some apple pie filling, and I'm gonna put in these. I don't have to overfill them because you don't have to, but just kind of fold that over. I guess that's why they call it a turnover. Just kind of turn that over, seal it up a little bit. You could use a fork and seal it up all the way, but I'm not going to because I don't think it's necessary. I'm going to do 2 of these. That one's going to hang out a little bit. It's okay. I went through my daughter's Halloween candy, hoping that she had like some just Hershey bars, but she didn't. So I grabbed some Milky Ways, and I'm just going to put 2 of those right here, and kind of have like a chocolate turnover, and then I'm just going to put a couple of M&Ms on top so I know that it's the chocolate one. Oh, dadgum, that's blue and orange. Roll Tide, sorry. Yellow. Anyway, so there's that, and then for the pizza one, I wouldn't put sauce in it, because you could just dip it in sauce when you're done, kind of like a calzone or stromboli or something. But I'm just gonna put a little cheese on it, and then a couple pepperonis. And I mean, really, with this stuff, basically anything you would see in a Hot Pocket, I feel like you could do like your own, and it come out pretty similar, or probably a little better, maybe even. The other half of the stick, I also melted, and I'm just going to brush the tops of all of this stuff, and that'll help it kind of golden crisp up a little bit. And the oven is preheated at 450. It needs to be pretty hot for biscuits. I haven't done turnovers and biscuits at the same time, but we're going to let them both go for about 12 minutes. Just keep an eye on them once they get to about 10 minutes. Make sure they're not burning, because burnt biscuits are terrible. I don't know. I'd probably still eat them. But just keep an eye on them. Like I said, 10 minutes. Once they start getting gold, they're probably done. They went right at 12 minutes. I did have to flip them around, but no big deal. You won't have to do that if you're not cooking 2 different things at the same time. Anyway, I'll bring these a little bit closer. I feel like it's zoomed in, but it's not zoomed in good enough. So what we've got here, 2 apples. 2 apples, smelling great. That pizza type deal. We got a little cheese bubbling through there, and then our Milky Way with the M&Ms on top. And then here's a plate of biscuits right there. Nothing wrong with any of them. There's our cute little baby one. Crack into these and look at the insides. So like light, fluffy biscuits, it's like ready to have some bacon, egg, and cheese, or sausage gravy, or jelly, or whatever you put on your biscuits. And I did dig through the trash and pulled out that can of biscuits and saw that they're 10 to 13 minutes in the oven. So time-wise, it's negligible because by the time you preheat the oven, you could basically have this whipped up. And, I mean, they're like, I don't know, a million times better, I would say, except a million times zero is still zero. So just a ton of stuff you can do with biscuit dough right here. I got one more thing I want to show you, and I think it's going to be cool. I think a lot of y'all like it. That Milky Way biscuit came out awesome because it's a melted candy bar inside a biscuit. And some cinnamon biscuits right here, just cinnamon sugar inside the same recipe with some cream cheese icing. You could do like cheddar and garlic inside the same recipe and have some awesome dinner. Alright, I know this video is getting kind of long. If you'll just bear with me for like 2 more minutes, I'll be out here. Made another batch of the biscuit dough and rolled it flat just like I did with those turnovers and stuff. And then I just took a spatula and scored it and made like 1-inch-ish cubes, just to kind of get roughly the same size shape of this. And what we're doing is chicken and dumplings. I've already got the liquid in the chicken in this crock pot. It's 2 of these big cans of cream of chicken soup. Normally I would just use the small ones, but I wound up doing a full batch of biscuits or biscuit dough for this. So if you use 2 small ones, use half a batch. If you use 2 big ones, they're like double the can, so just double it. And then it's usually 2 small cans and 2 cups of chicken broth, but this is a quart, and since everything's doubled, that worked out great, so I just dumped that whole thing in here. And what I'm going to do is just go and pick these up and put them in there. It's going to be messy, so I'm not going to film that. But I'll get that in there, and they need to cook on high for about an hour. The chicken and everything's already pre-cooked and everything, so all that's getting done is the dumplings. But in the crock pot on high for an hour should be plenty of time for these to get done. So I just took this ball out of the pot. It's been about an hour and a half probably. And you just wind up with, you know, chunks of chicken, those dumplings, they kind of boil, I guess, in there, and they get good and done. And then that cream of chicken really brings it all together. Anyway, so yeah, just a bunch of crazy stuff that you can do with biscuit dough besides just make biscuits. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Leave a like if you liked it. Share it if you want to share it. Next week, we're going to try and do some microwave hacks, I think.